Cramming for an exam the night before might sound like a great way to get through all of the material, but in reality, it really doesn't work well in terms of actually being able to remember the information. One of the best ways to help you remember information is to not only spend time with that information, but to also engage in spaced repetition of that material. The more times your brain processes information, the more likely you will remember that information longer term, and the better you should do on assignments and exams, both within the class and in future classes.
Your learning is your own, and you need to take responsibility for it. Studying with others is very beneficial and we encourage it. But remember that ultimately, you need to be able to think through and study on your own. You need to practice, prepare, write, and rehearse. The act of studying and preparing teaches you to be disciplined and focused, which will lead to success.
The wonderful thing about college for professional nerds like me is all the opportunities to learn something new. Now, I'm not a numbers person, never have been, probably never will be, but it doesn't stop me from learning and growing in that area so I can better understand my colleagues. It's not always easy for me, but it has always been worth it.
I'm going to give you a quick quiz. Are you ready? What's your favorite ice cream flavor? Where is your most memorable vacation spot? Who's your favorite TV or movie personality? In answering these questions, I'm pretty sure most of you had images in your head even before your brain formed the words. Now, research says our sense of smell is most closely linked with memory. I mean, I can still remember the smell of my elementary school cafeteria the first time I entered it when I was 6 years old, holding that seafoam green plastic tray and saying please and thank you to those nice ladies wearing hairnets. And that particular odd food smell still triggers that same memory decades later. However, 90% of information transmitted to our brains is visual and creates visual memory. That's important to remember as you read a textbook, write a paper, or prepare for an exam. What visual clues might help you retain information? Flashcards? Writing notes by hand? Sticky tabs? My son, who's an artist, used to draw pictures all over his homework, made his teachers crazy, but it helped him focus and retain information. My daughter, on the other hand, is an office supplies junkie. She uses colored Post-it notes, dry erase markers, and highlighters to visually organize both her personal and professional life. Of course, we all learn differently, but keep in mind that if you have a visual image of a piece of information, that will help you remember it better. Be creative and come up with a technique that works for you.
Taking tests can be anxiety-inducing and stressful because you're being asked to demonstrate what you've learned. In a way, it's a bit like you're being asked to perform. And in a performance, you're more likely to be successful if you're confident. Building confidence begins with your study and your preparation, and then it can be reinforced through how you think and talk to yourself. Before a performance, before an exam, use affirmations, positive self-talk to increase your confidence. For example, I can do hard things. I'm prepared to succeed. Or I can do this. Develop some that work for you. You've got this.